Hey, you crazy cats. My name's Kalond. Thanks for being here. I just wanted to jump on real quick to do an astrology update. As we know, it's a new year, 2021. So happy new year and also happy birthday to all the solar Sagittarians out there. If this sounds weird to you and you think we're a Capricorn going into Aquarius season, you're probably going off of tropical astrology, which is the default mainstream astrology that most people know, but it is not true and not accurate. True sidereal astrology is what I will be going off of, and that is using the visible sky, the current alignments of the stars, and the current planetary positions. Anyways, Mars has moved into Aries. You might have expected me to say Taurus, but actually Mars is going into Aries, its natural house. Mars went from a time from being into Pisces, for being very introspective, for all of the energy going inward. And now that the time has come today, Mars has moved into Aries today, it is now telling us to push forward and use all of that energy and to push it outward into the world now. So the reason why I want to talk about this is because we're still in like a quarantine, lockdown, COVID, pandemic situation. So when you have Aries go from a very observant spectator Pisces seat to going into the driver's seat into Aries, what's going to happen is a lot of us globally, personally, communally, societally, we're going to want to be more assertive, more aggressive, more dominant, more ambitious, and more action oriented. Mars tells us if we want to get something, then we have to go out and get it ourselves. We have to go out into the world and win. And so when you're in a situation like a lockdown or a quarantine or a pandemic, it makes this so much more difficult to go out into the world because you're being held back and you're being told that you can't do what you want to do. This does not sit well with the Aries sign, especially with Mars in Aries, fiery Mars. So the dark side of this is that we may see a rise in violence. We may see a rise in assaults, aggression, impatience. They might just be like, I want, I'm going to get, I'm not going to take no for an answer. We might see a spike in domestic violence. Who knows? This is why I love astrology, and it's also kind of frustrating because it's all speculation, right? But this is what we have to go off of. It's a predictive tool, and that is why we're using it. So when you have Mars in Aries, do expect people to be slightly more aggressive and assertive and dominant and not take no for an answer. But at the same time, on the good side is that Mars gives you that energy that you've been wanting this whole time to go out and accomplish the things that you've wanted to accomplish. It also fires you up with a bunch of self-expressive ideas, a lot of self-expression, a lot of creativity is going to come your way. And you might have a heightened sense of sexuality and your libido might increase. Or you just might find that you just can't sleep because you're so excited about life and everything new and everything feels fresh and it feels like a new start and we feel like that we're getting somewhere and more opportunities are coming to us and the world's about to open for us. Like that is all Mars moving from Pisces to Aries. So use this energy, use this fire, use this fuel to go out and do the things that you want to do. But just keep in mind that if you feel like you're getting agitated or irritated or frustrated, if you have more headaches, if you have problems with your vision, if you're getting like skin rashes, if you're getting anything that has to do with the face, anything that has to do with getting heated or impatient or whatever, I'm probably saying the same things over and over again. But anyways, if you're feeling all these things, it's because of Mars going into Aries. And that is perfectly natural. It's perfectly normal. So do whatever you can to keep a level head. Make sure that you have an outlet, possibly a physical or artistical outlet to get out your aggression, to get out your emotions, to get out your energy, or to just focus, try to discipline your mind, discipline your energy into one specific thing at a time. And if things get a little hindered because of COVID, because of the pandemic, that is just something that is naturally going to be hard for us right now as a society and as a world. Mars will be in Aries now until about the first week of March. So you have this time, these first 3 months, to use this energy as much as possible to go out and accomplish the things that you want to accomplish for you. This is the time to be ambitious and put me first, you first, and find some way to outlet that fire so that it doesn't affect your health, it doesn't affect your relationships, and it doesn't affect anybody else, and nobody gets hurt. If you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out to me for free readings. You will particularly feel this energy the most if you are a solar Aries or have an Aries ascendant or an Aries moon. If you have an Aries sun, then your birthday is between April 21st and May 12th. If you are in between that time, you will feel this energy, okay? And use this energy, but discipline rather. So be a martial artist rather than a boxer. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, pick and choose your battles wisely. Focus your energy. The sun is going to move into Capricorn, as I said, on the 19th of January. We'll officially start Capricorn season. Mercury moving into Capricorn as well on the 8th, this Friday. So that is something that we'll need to know, because a lot of us are going to start to think and we're going to start to communicate about what it is that we feel responsible for, what our responsibilities are. We're going to try to take a more mature way of thinking, a more mature way of speaking. We're going to think more in terms of business and more logical and more practical. And when you have Mercury in such a cardinal earth sign, while you have Mars in a cardinal fire sign, then you're going to lose out on a lot of the emotional connection. And so that is just something to just naturally keep in mind. Venus is in a fucus. It is going into Sagittarius come this Friday as well, the 8th of January. And so when Venus is in Sagittarius, the things that are going to bring us some type of love and comfort, and the way that we might express our gratitude and our affection towards people might be towards people all around the world. We might feel like we're collectively connected across the world. We're going to try to attach ourselves to a higher purpose, a higher meaning, and the things that naturally just bring us that love and comfort might have to do with culture and living life to the fullest and being spontaneous and learning as much as possible, and to never stop learning and to never stop growing. So when Venus moves into Sagittarius this Friday, know that one of the things that could help you express the emotions that you might be bottling up or that want to explode is to put some of that into something that's creative, something that's spontaneous, something that teaches you something and makes you feel connected to a higher purpose, a higher wisdom, and taps you into a culture or into some type of diversity, something to step out of your comfort zone. We can also talk about how Uranus is in Aries right now as well, which has to do with individualization and rebellion and evolution. So with Uranus and Mars being in Aries come this time around, we could expect possibly some type of individual revolution, or some type of spark or talk of somebody, like some organization, some group of people or whatever, might feel like they need to express themselves and they need to use their voice and protest or start some type of mass movement. For example, the people who don't believe in COVID might actually protest come this time around, these next 3 months. There might be some type of communal governmental explosion or rebellion that's going to happen. It could very well be we see a spike in the rebellion of Trump and the Republicans trying to say that this election was fraud. It could be the anti-maskers protesting that they're sick of wearing masks and they're done with it. It could be a protest of the people who refuse the vaccine and don't want the COVID vaccine because it might violate their rights if it's a mandatory vaccine. Things like this we can expect with Uranus, because Uranus is, again, the rebel, the humanitarian, the scientist. So when you put all of this in the Aries sign, it just becomes very more individualistic, more expressive, more voiced, more explosive, more trendy, more trend starters. So that is something that you can expect with that. We have also Neptune is in Aquarius. So right now, what is coming to us is we are being disillusioned that we have freedom. We're being disillusioned of our liberties. We're discovering that the things that we thought were reality aren't actually real anymore. And the things that we once thought were dreams might become possible. Aquarius is the sign of hope. It is the sign of innovation. It is the sign of evolutionary progress. It is the humanitarian scientist. I said that already. It's technology. It's a advancement in technology. So when you have Neptune, the planet of secrets and illusions and mysticism and disillusion and dreams and the question of reality, when you have those two things come together, what we naturally do is we start to be a little more misty-eyed and I guess you could say less realistic about what it is that we are, that what makes us free. We might have illusions about what liberty actually means, what oppression actually means, and we might soon find out what this actually all means, and we might actually break through that disillusionment that a lot of us aren't free, a lot of us aren't as gung-ho about liberty as we might think that we are. Like I could go on about that, on like how freedom of speech isn't really freedom of speech. Like there's so many rules and regulations and hindrances that are placed upon us as civilians of the world, and this is going to be around the time that we have to waken up and we have to open our mind and see that all of this is an illusion. Freedom, the freedom that we think we have, is not real. We're going to have to fight for it. We're going to be shown at some point within the next coming years that our liberties are going to be tested. We're going to find out what real oppression feels like, and we're going to have to fight for our freedom, I think. Who knows? It's all speculation, like I said. Anyways, yes, and then we have Chiron in Pisces. Chiron is in Pisces. Chiron is the wounded healer. So right now, anything that we have wounds or triggers or traumas about in terms of spiritual growth, in terms of religion, in terms of beliefs, in terms of something that's happened to us as a child, and we've kind of held on to that and haven't told anybody, and we've lived in secret and in shame and in silence this whole time. We've been suffering in silence. All of those things that we have dealt with are going to come to the surface, and all of those things are going to, we're basically going to be shown and made aware of these things that we're still carrying around, and so we might see a spike in depression because of this. Chiron has been in Pisces for a while, so we might have seen a spike in depression these last few years because of that. And this is the time to heal those wounds and to heal that spirituality and to heal that inner world and to heal those traumas and triggers that we've been carrying and suffering in silence about. If this is any consolation for people who have been suffering in silence, the shadow side of the Pisces is the martyr, and you can't help anybody if you don't have a full cup yourself. And the only way that this stuff continues is by keeping it to yourself. So if there's anything that you feel like you're suffering from, but you don't feel like you can say anything about it, you do need to speak up, and you need to heal this part. It is time. The planets are with you, and they're holding your hand through this. Jupiter and Saturn, if you look at tropical astrology, they talked about Saturn and Jupiter moving into Aquarius, marking the age of Aquarius, the age of hope. And this is not true. If you go to the livesky.net, if you go to any app where you can see the visible live sky, you'll see that Jupiter and Saturn are in fact in Capricorn. And Capricorn being the sign of business, being the sign of responsibility, being the sign of maturity and legacy and business and government, authority, power. These are the subjects, this is the area that Saturn and Jupiter have now entered. And Saturn being the planet of oppression and caution and time, and Jupiter being the planet of expansion, prosperity, and luck and generosity, you get these two huge planets in Capricorn, and they're basically, it sounds like they're giving you two separate things, but in reality, it depends on what you focus on individually and what society focuses on as a whole. So when Saturn enters a sign, it slows down the progress of those aspects. It hinders the progress. It puts them on pause. It makes them feel heavy. It makes them feel slow moving. It makes them feel restricted. It puts a caution tape over it, and it stops a lot of people from going forward and getting stuff done. with Saturn being in Capricorn right now, we're going to see a slowdown of our government, a slowdown of the overturn of the presidency. We're going to see a slowdown of governmental progress. Our governments and our societies are going to be very constricted and feel very heavy. And this is the time that people naturally just feel sluggish and they feel like crap and they act out because they feel horrible and they feel oppressed, and so they get more controlling, they be more suppressive, more oppressive, or they feel powerlessness, they feel all of that. And so when you have people that act upon these kinds of things, it doesn't usually sit well for the people that are around them. So if this is our government and they're going to feel this slow movement, they're going to drag their feet. They're going to be more authoritative. They're going to try to hold on and grasp at their power. When this happens for us, we need to know that this is what needs to happen in order for the system to break, in order for us to actually fix the situation, fix the problem, and move forward, okay? So when you have Jupiter also in conjunct with Saturn in Capricorn, Jupiter expands everything it touches. So if we focus on the bad stuff, if we focus on the lies, the corruption, the oppression, the authority figures dragging their feet, if we focus on how horrible things have been and how we're sick of COVID, we're sick of blah, 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 and we think about all the things and we focus all of our attention on the things that we don't want and the things that we don't like and the things that are just negative, Jupiter will expand those things and we'll get more oppression, more control, more pandemic, more craziness, because Jupiter thinks that that is what we want. The saving grace for this time period is that Saturn actually is trying to help us, and Jupiter is trying to help us as well. So when Saturn slows things down, he or she or it, they, is trying to give us time. It's trying to give us the appropriate amount of time to come up with a plan. What exactly is it are we doing in order to fix the problem, in order to fix the unemployment infrastructure, in order to fix the educational system, the healthcare system, our border control, all of these kinds of things that the government has control of? Saturn is saying, okay, let's slow this process down and let's figure out, what are you actually doing? Why are you doing these things? What's the mature, practical way of approaching this? And how can you put things into motion, and how can you plan so that we can move forward? So I think we need to take that and put that into our noggins and think that this is the time that we need to be patient with what the government has to go through, and to speak more clearly, to speak more logically, to not feel like we have to sacrifice our happiness and our freedoms in order to gain more health, help, whatever. For example, me and my partner just watched The Circle with Emma Watson and Tom Hanks, and we really enjoyed the movie. It didn't do very well on Rotten Tomatoes, but it was a very good movie. It is exactly probably where we're going in the future with technology in general. But for example, they specifically said, we are going to set up hidden cameras everywhere because this is for the betterment of the safety of our people in this world. There should be no secrets. And so while that is something that people think might be a good thing, to have less secrets, be more open, and have more quote-unquote safety, the bigger picture is it's a violation of privacy. These are the kinds of things that we need to think about. What might be like good or considered safe might not actually be the best option because it is more oppressive. The more rules and regulations we have, the more constricted we are as individuals, and the more constriction you have on people, there's just more problems they cause. And these are the kinds of things that we need to talk about. Like, for example, the mandatory vaccine. If you make a vaccine mandatory, you are breaking the rights of the individual who doesn't want to be injected with who knows what. That's a whole nother topic. I don't want to get into the whole vaccine, anti-vaccine. I've never been anti-vaccine. I'm just skeptical of the COVID vaccine. And Jupiter, we need to know that Jupiter will expand whatever we ask for. So if we ask for more prosperity, more luck, and we focus on healing our infrastructure, and we focus on healing our society, healing the economy, because those are the things that Capricorn deals with, then those things will come to fruition, and we will start to see more money plugged into our economy. We will see more freedoms be given. We will see more rules to be laid up on us, so that, because we need to treat people like adults, we need to be able to treat each other with respect. And we can't give all of our power to authority, because they're the ones who are the most oppressive and they break the most laws anyway. Jupiter and Saturn are going to take a break this summer, and they are going to retrograde back into Sagittarius. So what does this mean? What this means is, during this summer, we will have a window where we will be able to get out into the world again. And depending on what happens with what we decide to do and our choices from this point on, we might see either a release of the COVID restrictions, and we might be able to actually get out into the world and open the economy more again, or we're going to see another spike of something. It could be COVID related, it could be governmental related, but we are going to see something again that could put us back into another lockdown, into another quarantine. We might go through all of this all over again, because we might not have learned our lesson the first time. So whether this has to do with the people who are being contained at the Mexican border, whether this has to do with Europe opening its doors to Americans again, I don't know what that is. It's all speculation, but these are the kinds of things that we need to expect to happen. Yes, if you are a Capricorn sun, Capricorn moon, or Capricorn ascendant, and that's the people whose birthdays start January 19th, you will feel this tug and pull a lot more than the rest of us, because Saturn and Jupiter are in your sign right now. So if you're feeling oppressive, if you're feeling held back, stuck, like your soul's diminished, or your just happiness is being held in confinement, that is why. Reach out to me. Let's talk about this. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully it's a little coherent. And so if you need clarity on anything, feel free to reach out to me. My website's in the description below, and I am available for transit readings, so we can find out where these planets are in your chart specifically, and how these planets will influence you as an individual. Have a beautiful day. Use this Mars energy to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, and find an outlet for your aggression. Know that if you get frustrated during these times or impatient, it's totally normal. Know that now is the time to focus on your inner woundings, the things that you've been carrying around and suffering in silence. Notice that people are going to start being a little more aggressive and more assertive and more outspoken, particularly about what they think their freedoms are. We will be disillusioned by our liberties. We will be disillusioned right now, and try to find a way to find out what is real, what is not real when it comes to the world and humanitarianism, and what it means to be a free living folk in the world. I didn't talk about Pluto being in Sagittarius. I'll mention that real quick. With Pluto being in Sagittarius, we have 3 more years of reconstruction, transformation, life-death cycle of our belief system. These last few years, Pluto's been there for years, we've been discovering all of the lies and all of the deceit and all of the things that we were told that were true that aren't true, from the world and from the government and from just the way that we run our society. Like, all of these lies are coming up to the surface. That is what is coming up. All these lies are being brought up about how we actually treat people of different races and different cultures and different ethnicities, and how we try to have this global exception of people, but yet we close our borders to everyone, and we lock up the Hispanics and Latino people and things like that. So, and all of these lies are coming up to us, and that's what that's about. So we have about another 3 years to go on being having those lies exposed and figuring out what it is that we can do to transform our belief system and move on to a better and more accepting and healthy environment when it comes to culture. So yes, anyways, thank you. I didn't mean for this to be very long, but if you sat all the way through it, kudos to you. Anyways, yes, please reach out to me if you need help, if you need clarification. And hopefully this made sense. And yes, have a great day.